Hey everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Spin from the Reel. Once again, I am Matt, and joining me as always is the illustrious personality himself, Chris Anthony Lopez.
You're too kind. Oh, what's going on, man? How you feeling today, bro?
I'm doing all right, and I gotta be kind. You want to know why?
What's up?
Because I'm whooping your ass Friday.
Oh God, we're starting this now.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just
like because I don't want to get flustered before the show starts. We'll tackle this before the show ends, but our Really Trivia Showdown Championship match is on Friday. You can catch it on our YouTube channel. Who Are They? Real Entertainment. We'll save our words for the end because I want to be civil for the show. We've been doing a good job so far, so let's keep it that way. And then before the show ends, then I'll tear you a new one. All right. Cool.
But how you doing this week, sir? How you doing?
I'm all right, my man. I don't know. These past couple of days have been extremely busy, real tiresome. I've been all over the place, but I'm here, ready to talk Schmodown. Talk about freaking tiring. The last few days have been exhausting for certain people within the Schmodown. At least if you got to see backstage yesterday, you can really tell that some people took Friday a little harder than others, and trust me. Yeah. I was right there with them, watching the match, freaking out as it was happening, or the playback as the match was progressing. But my God, this Schmodown stuff, dude, I can't. It's tiresome watching it. Like I get stressed out watching the thing, let alone being there in the positions that they're in. I do not envy them at all. Oh my God, especially Friday, which is possibly one of the best matches we've ever seen. Just taking it as a whole match, pre-show, post-show. Oh man,
I loved it, man. I really loved it. I dug it. I'm ready to go, man. Like, give me more.
For real. Like, please. I hate feeling like this, but my God, like, give me all of it. Like, it's so exciting. I remember when we were talking on this show when they first announced that they were going online, that everything was going to be online. And I remember some hesitancy. I'm like, man, like this, I don't know how they can express like characters properly. And like the game's going to be, it's going to be a little wonky for some people. Hell no. It took a second. Some people haven't adjusted the way that I bet they would have liked to.
Yeah.
But if this Friday proved anything, is that not only has the character work been A1 since the digital era of the Schmodown has began, but the gameplay, dude, the damn gameplay.
Yeah, dude, the gameplay has just been stellar lately, and you can't ask for anything more, man. My God, what are you supposed to say? Like, you get these amazing matches week after week after week, and I feel spoiled because after next week we go back to 2 a week. I can't deal with that, man. I need that.
Dude, tell me about it. Oh my God.
But I should mention we aren't alone today. We should probably check him out the backstage. But we got the underdog himself, Nick Mulbach, joining us.
Hey everybody, joining in from the other room. So there's no echo, obviously, but I'm going to be in and out tonight. I got to leave soon for a really quick interview thing, and then I will be back, but really glad to be here, and definitely there's been a lot of stuff so far to talk about, so I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Word. So, Nick, before you bounce, is there anything?
He's going to be here for a little bit. So you got.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about Friday since we got Nick here.
Trust me, he'll be back for Friday. Trust me.
Because, man, Friday rocked my world. Like, I was about to go out. I was about to do something. And then I'm like, you know what? Like, I was with my roommate. I'm like, you know what? I got to watch this match first. And then guess what? He started watching the damn match with me.
Wait, Corey started watching the match?
Yeah. I was watching the match, and I watched, like, the first round. I'd yell out the answers because I was running around my apartment doing stuff. Yeah. And I had it playing over the speaker. And it'd be like, oh, what was this? I'd be like, oh, like, screaming at the answer, whatever it is. And Corey's like, what the hell are you watching? And I'm like, I'm watching the movie Trivia Schmodown, the thing I don't shut up about, that thing. And he's like, oh, well, then he started listening, paying attention and stuff. And then he was fully invested by the time the 5th round came. Like, he was in. He was so in on it. To the point where he knew the 5-point question that sunk Ben. He knew it.
What?
Mm-hmm. Like, I will give him all the credit in the world. Like I nailed Ben's first 2 questions. I'm like, oh yeah, softballs. But at least I thought they were softballs.
I thought they were softballs too.
Yeah. Hey.
And then that 5-point question came and slapped me over the face. And Corey was like, "Oh yeah," like what was it, like 1408? I think that's what it was.
Yep.
And Corey was like, "Yeah, it was like 1408." I'm like, "What? How the like?" That's like the only question he got right the entire time. But that was the one.
That's a big one to get right there.
Exactly. It's like, damn, Corey, like, we should do movie trivia. He's out here pulling those hard-ass, what was it, horror thriller? That was a horror thriller question, right?
Yeah, it was horror thriller.
God bless America. But, God, that whole match was insane. That whole thing, damn. I haven't stopped thinking about it. Not once.
Not once. It's
a big one.
Well, before we talk about Friday, I do want to talk about Thursday. Oh, we got Cheddar Goblin chiming on in. What's up, Taylor? Evening, fellas.
What's going on, homie?
Hey, Taylor.
But yeah, I want to talk about Thursday first because we did, or was it Thursday or Wednesday?
Well, we can't talk about Wednesday. Wednesday was Vinny Mancuso and Ethan Irwin. We did not talk about that on the show last week.
You mean the match?
The match what?
I said you mean the massacre.
It wasn't. You guys have a different definition of massacre than I do. I thought, is it another one of those cases where Vinny spun opponent's choice?
I think so.
Yeah, and all I have in my notes is Ethan stomps.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't think Ethan Irwin's just going to destroy every single opponent that he has. Like, even Dan Murrell, obviously it didn't end up happening, but I'm just saying, like, Ethan Irwin, man,
close.
Never a person to be reckoned with, I'll tell you.
Ethan damn near goes perfect in all of these matches that he's been in since the digital era of the Schmodown has happened, or since it began. And this match against Vinny was no different. And I remember when we talked about Mancuso and Ramirez, the play-in match to play Ethan, in the back of everyone's heads, it was, okay, winner loses to Ethan. And especially after that number 1 contenders match, after the title match, and we saw what Ethan was bringing this time around, sitting on his couch comfy at home, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, good luck. And I think he's facing Eric this time around, Eric Zipper.
Eric or actually, wait, we do have the updated bracket on here. So let me
hit me with it.
It's he plays Eric, and then the winner of that plays Tom, which we'll get into that in a little bit.
A little bit of a spoilie, but nah, the Ethan match with Ice Pick. I mean, I love Vinny Mancuso's character in this. I love the energy that he brings, and the only thing that really took him out of the match was spinning opponent's choice. That was it. But you got a bad category, and it was something that Ethan suggested, like, can it be a strength of mine? Oh, yeah. And then answers all the questions that Vinny gets wrong.
That's a way to play the game, man. That's a way to play the game.
Yeah, something the princess wishes she did the other day against Mr. Happy Sunday. She's been beating herself up about that one real quick.
Well, listen, to be fair, though, the Ethan Irwin strategy of enjoying a Schmodown match on your couch has worked for me. So I understand. Like, it's very nice. Like, but listen, like, Ethan Irwin is not a guy that I mean, we could, Ethan Irwin and Dan Murrell is becoming a classic feud and rivalry and classic matches, match after match after match. And quite frankly, as much as I love Dan Murrell, what a story would it be for him to finally just knock him out or knock out the champion if he wins this tournament? Like, I can't see, I can't say that I can't see anybody beating Ethan Irwin because I have been bitten one too many times during this tournament for that feeling. But
join the club, brother.
Yeah, but man, Ethan Irwin always comes out strong.
Yeah, he does, and I mean, I love Ethan until he plays someone that I want to win. That's the only time I ever
That's-
go against Ethan.
And that is completely fair, because I didn't want him to beat Murrell, but I love Ethan Irwin, so it was like really hard for me. I remember when Ethan came out, I was just like, wow, I really like this dude. And he's calm, he's collected, he wins, and then you got Dan Murrell, who's just, man, we'll get
Gotta
it.
love that, man. Gotta love
Dan's
that.
a dog, and I mean we'll get to Dan in a little bit, but yeah, Ethan beat Vinny Mancuso, moved on. Now he's going to face Eric Zipper, as Matt just showed us with the updated bracket. But in regards to upsets, right? We've mentioned that there have been it's hard to predict the winner now, because this tournament has become upset city. And something that we saw on Thursday before the pay-per-view on Friday was another one of those cases. And I had said on this show, like, yo, we cannot underestimate Adam Collins. We couldn't. Mm-hmm. After that performance that he had against James White, like, we got to cool it. We got to cool it. And I know people are so confident with John Roca being the victor. And I know I still had Roca winning the match because I thought we'd see the guy that played Ethan not too long ago. We saw the guy that played in what's up, Chad? Saw the guy that played freaking Corruption in that tag title match. Mm-hmm. He still did really damn good. They just lost by a question, as Roca would have told you at that point. But oh my God, if you would have told me that Adam Collins was going to TKO John Roca,
yeah,
what? I was left baffled at just the idea of that, and watching it pan out. I was freaking out at work. I watched that match at work, which I probably shouldn't be watching SmackDown matches at work, but I am sitting on my computer watching the match and really freaking out watching this thing happen. And I have my headphones in, so no one knows what I'm even watching.
There you go.
And oh my God, like I put a couple things down. Collins was perfect through 2 rounds, and he spun Anne Hathaway, and he kept it, and he murked the category.
Right. It's those categories where people go in and they take just a huge risk, because there's categories that I don't even know who the hell the person is that people are killing on this wheel right now. So I mean, Anne Hathaway obviously is a familiar face, but it's like it's so specific when it comes down to the questions. It's unbelievable.
It was It was extremely impressive, and there was some hesitancy coming from Shannon. Shannon's like, "Yo, Anne Hathaway are better categories. Anne Hathaway's kind of specific. Her filmography isn't that big. So it's not like a Hanks or a DiCaprio or something like that. But are you still going to rock with this?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll give it a shot." And he goes 8 for 8.
Right.
Like, what on what earth? And I want to mention Taylor's comment. Yeah, he was a maniac. And that's another reason why I couldn't underestimate Adam Collins. Mm-hmm. Like, if that is a strength for him, Anne Hathaway, what the hell else what else can we expect? I'm at a loss for words.
Because he's a rookie, correct?
Yeah, he's a rookie. This was only his second match.
And he's beaten James White, who is another incomer, and then John Roca,
and then
one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, you gotta love how Roca lost with so much humility.
What'd you say, Matt?
You're frozen, Matt.
Oh, snackies.
But in the meantime, Taylor, yes, Connie Ice is missing. Let me fix that real fast. Go ahead, Matt.
I said you gotta love how Roca took his loss with such humility, though. He
did.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a Roca that we see usually.
No, and I mean, on backstage, he was definitely. I mean, okay, this is the problem with guys that are coming into the league for the first time and they take on a certain character. According to Roca, I haven't seen these interviews that he was talking about, but on backstage yesterday, I guess he was talking about how Adam Collins is just walking around parading the fact that he TKO'd a guy that is considered one of the greatest of all time. And Roca didn't take too kindly to that. And he said that he hasn't been this hungry to beat somebody in specific since Bibiani. And that says a lot in regards to their history. Roca and Bibbs' history goes way back. Like, they didn't like each other. Right. Or at least Roca didn't like Bibbs with a deep passion. I mean, now they're fine, but Adam Collins, you pissed off the Outlaw to the point where he wants to come back at you and beat you, probably in a similar fashion than how you beat him.
Mm-hmm.
That's freaking terrifying.
That's kind of crazy because I didn't really see Adam Collins as much of a no pun intended to you, Chris, personality himself. He's just kind of like, you know, I wonder if it's people within that faction that are definitely going after it. But like, I never saw like he doesn't come across as a guy who would be like going out of his way to shit on a person that he beat. But maybe, perhaps.
Well, I don't know if he's crapping on him like that, but he might be just, you know, the wind just is gone to his head. Because I mean, who's not going to do that when they beat someone like Roca, Irwin, Murrell, Bateman? You know, like it's a toughie. And to answer your question, Taylor, no, I don't think the Outlaw is losing his shine necessarily, but it's probably just, you know, he's had 3 straight losses.
3 big losses
in the last month and a half, which it's tough. And you're facing tough competitors. It's not like you're facing your above average Schmodown player. That's not the case. Adam Collins has proved that he's not that.
Exactly.
In just 2 matches, Collins went from he's an early pick in the draft to, oh my God, he's a top 3 player for a faction. Someone will pick him up before the draft happens. 1,000%. It may not even be corruption, because corruption might not even have the space for it.
Yeah.
So it depends on what the future of the league holds or future of the season holds. But Adam Collins is no one to screw with at all. No one to screw with.
At all. I agree 110%. It's just one of those things, man. I doubted him. I'm not now. He could, if this chance match doesn't go the way people hope, he could be the last standing member of corruption. So, like,
and those some big shoes.
Yeah, they are big shoes.
And watching Micah get outed the way he got outed, and if Chance falls to Liz Shannon Miller, which a lot of people think may happen because of how Liz Shannon's been on fire since the really since she came into the league. I think she's 4-2. I think that's what her record is. But she's been like underestimated in a lot of cases. Keep coming out on top. And I've said on this show before, like Liz Shannon Miller just hasn't given me that oomph yet. Like I like what I've seen so far, but I haven't seen that oomph, and I haven't seen this Chance match yet. So maybe after I watch this match against Chance that just went on right now, excuse me, these braces. But I want to see how that match goes before we talk about the last member of corruption. But my God, it can get scary. This can be really scary for corruption because they're the tag champs. They're not looking to be favored in the tag team tournament.
Right. I mean,
so this could be a short season for them.
It's intriguing. Well, I mean, you have Chance going after the Inner Geekdom Championship.
Yeah, but that's not so spectacular.
But right, that's last match, right? I mean, that's your last chance to really do anything and accumulate those points. I am totally intrigued to see where Adam Collins goes because, like we're all saying, I mean, a win against John Roca is a win against John Roca. Yeah. If you could beat John Roca, a man who has been in countless title matches recently, let alone anything else, it just seems impossible to me to doubt this guy's ability. And I think that, you know, and what is it going to be like if a guy who is in a play-in match wins the entire tournament?
And now it's totally feasible. And that just shows the depth of the Schmodown's roster. Like really just the depth chart of everyone in the Schmodown. If it goes that deep to where people who are having to play into a tournament come in and possibly go Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, that's nuts.
Well, that's the thing is you don't see something like that in a March Madness tournament bracket. Is you don't see a play-in team going particularly that far.
At least not usually.
Not to my knowledge that I can come up with any in my head. But like, my goodness, man, like, you know, that's the thing is that these play-in matches are such crapshoots because they're all primarily rookies or people trying to prove something, which is a huge deal. So I am looking forward to seeing what Adam Collins can continue to bring to the table because he definitely looks like he's going to be somebody to mess with going forward. But I am intrigued by those statements that he's making against Roca, because like if we could get like a big marquee Collins Roca 2, that would be a good match. That'd be a good match.
And I believe that unless I forget how the tag tournament bracket is laid out, if we even have an official one, I don't think we do. But we might not see this match till next year,
right?
And hopefully, God willing, we get fans back at these matches. This may be able to happen in front of a live crowd.
Yeah,
and John Roca is a whole different beast at a live crowd. He literally absorbs the fan adoration, and he performs because of it.
Right. Yeah.
So this Adams and Roca match says not only a lot about Adams but Roca as well, especially with what's been happening with the exchange these past couple of days. So Friday happens, right? But before the big main event, there was a little bit of an undercard with Janine the Machine and the Warfather.
I will be right back.
By all means. But Janine and the Warfather, they went on before Bateman and Murrell. And Matt, you got to watch this match as it happened, correct?
Yeah.
What was the reaction? I don't know if you were watching the live chat as it was going on. I didn't get to see this because I was doing high school football. But how was it, at least watching Janine do what Janine was going to do, especially after we spoke about it on the show on Wednesday?
I try to stay out of the live chat because sometimes, depending on how fast your internet's going, you could get something spoiled, all that.
Sure. Yeah.
Or you could see someone acting like a complete utter douche. So I just personally always try to avoid the live chat until afterwards, if even that. But Janine, man, we said last week on the show she was going to kill it. She did more than kill it. Like, it's just, it was almost not even fair how well she did. So, like, all you can do is sit over here and be like, well, that happened. That was a match.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people had Janine going into this match winning handily, like how we did.
Yes. I think almost anyone who had anything to say did. It seemed like they all expected it to go all 3 rounds, which it did, barely. But Janine, like, the wheel went her way. Everything just was in her favor. So you can't even. It was interesting to watch because of the character work. But man, on the gameplay side of things, Janine was just on top. She was on top, and what can you do or say? It's just like it was almost not even fun to watch because of how good she was doing. And that's not me just shitting on Janine, or I don't want people to take that the wrong way. That's me just saying, like, she did so well that I was just like, damn. Good job. I wish we got this. I love Janine as a player. I just wish she was more consistent at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish we had gotten this Janine all season. So.
I wish we got to see more of Janine in general. And
I think that's a product of COVID, because I think if
that too. And to answer the question, did it exceed expectation? I mean, no, but at the same time, it kind of did on my end, at least, because we all knew. I think if you had a pulse and 2 eyes, you were assuming Janine was going to come in swinging. And that's exactly what had happened. And especially someone against the Warfather, I know this match was thrown together, giving some people some points, because the Droogs and the usual suspects are not doing so hot in the standings. So these extra points definitely put them, or now for the usual suspects, gives them an extra boost. But, I mean, if anything, this match just proved why Janine is no one to screw with, and how she still should be considered a hot commodity going into free agency.
Definitely be considered a hot commodity. Part of me thinks, though, she is still going to make it to the. Chris, did your mic or headphones just? I heard some background or something.
Oh, that's a plane. See, fun fact about Enid, Oklahoma, is that where my apartment is at, I'm probably a few miles away from an Air Force base.
Oh,
so I have jets flying over my apartment complex. Nothing too crazy, but sometimes they're a little too close to the ground, and I don't like it. But it's okay. It's okay. Everything's fine. Nothing bad to report. But you were saying, please go ahead.
It's just, what was the question again? That plane threw me off completely.
Oh, but in regards to Janine going forward, how she's still a hot commodity going into free agency.
I think ultimately, she's going to end up in the draft. She's going to end up being one of the first picks of the draft, but she's going to end up being in the draft. That's where I am, at least. So, because we talked about it last week on last week's backstage. Ben literally just listed off like 50 possible people who could be signed.
Yeah.
And Janine was on that back half. Like, he's listing all these names, and you could arguably say, yeah, Janine's on that back half because only 27 people aren't going into the draft. 27.
Yeah, and there's what, 90 competitors, 80 competitors plus,
something like that
are active.
And you're gonna have some people decide, I'm gonna value the Star Wars, I'm gonna value the inner geekdom, like Winston may have to.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. Maybe next week after the Shannon Miller chance match, we can actually talk about it because it just went up, so we're not going to talk spoilies. But next week, we'll get way more into Winston and what the future of Swag is going to be.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you got to be like, this is going to be tough. Are the Droogs toast after this loss? Yeah, I don't think many people had the Droogs doing anything. They're out from outside of the team tournament, which I forget what their team is. Is it
their
Jader?
Team is Jader and oh my gosh, why am I forgetting? It's Jader and Brandon Hanna.
Yeah, so that's I think that's going to be a first round.
The Hanna Canes.
Yeah,
that should be their name. Oh my god, the Hanna Canes. Who do I have to tweet to make that a thing?
Probably can. I think that's a first round out type thing. I love Jader. Hannah has never been anything more than average outside of inner geekdom.
Oh, okay. It's like, whoa, like average inner geekdom. Like he's solid. He's high.
No. Average outside of inner geekdom. So with that in mind, I don't really see anything special happening there. So yeah, in my eyes, the Droog season is done because they're on the bottom of the list, and Christian kind of made it known we're probably going to have a few more matches like the Janine and Warfather match throughout the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens. Because eventually, when you get to these tournament finals, you're going to need to have matches like that.
And we have a pay-per-view on October 16th, I believe. That's what the date is. Your stuff's cutting out, Matt. But October 16th is Shazam v. Corruption for the tag belts, and we're presumably going to get maybe a tag match outside of the tournament. I mean, if anything, if this past pay-per-view has proven anything, if it's a match during a tournament, we're going to get just something that's outside of it, not really interfering with the tournament itself. So I'm fully expecting a normal tag team match between whatever two teams for that pay-per-view, unless we're doing a tournament match during the pay-per-view, which, I mean, we didn't do last time, and everyone thought that would be the case, but that's not the case. So I don't know what's going through Christian's head in regards to who's going to be the undercard, but if this Janine match has proven anything, is that it may be someone who's lower in the standings that needs some extra points to give it a little push towards the right direction, and it may be putting a spotlight on players that we haven't necessarily seen so far this season.
And that's probably going to end up being what has to happen. You're just like, all right, well, let's get it going. That's where I am with this. It's just one of those things. I'm all Schmodown. I'm all in, and it's just I want more. I need more, and I'm hoping, because Christian's talked about keeping the digital thing going as a way to bring the fan league competitors in and use it as a farm system, and I hope that's the case because that seems like a beautiful idea. Could you imagine if you're actually able to have 15 members on a faction, but like the bottom four to six are just like your developmental players, and they have the developmental league going on via this?
That'd be okay. I wasn't expecting to talk about this today, but that'd be That'd be something real deep. And is oh geez, how can I word this without possibly sounding like I'm offending somebody? The people at the five, the bottom five, so it'd be strictly that's your AAA. That's your D League, right?
It's someone like me or you or the encourager who's like, I think I got the talent. Let me hope I get in that. You know what I mean?
So it's your practice squad.
Yeah, your practice.
Okay, that's something that maybe not yet, because there are a lot of players that were drafted this year that we've barely seen so far. If anything, I like to see more of them, and I get it. Plus, I get it why you want to bring in more people from the fan leagues, but that's why the fan leagues exist. For the sole reason of being a farm system where Christian can pull these people from. It's worked out so far.
Yeah, but at the same time, now it's its own farm system. Like,
if the Schmodown were to have an official minor leagues,
yeah,
I mean, it would be insane. Like, from a news standpoint, from a fan standpoint, that is nuts to have an official minor leagues instead of just all these fan leagues that are on the Facebooks or on the YouTubes, like how we are. We're just like, over here doing our own thing, trying to wave, looking for people's attention to possibly get chosen to be next, so we can see the claw and maybe be chosen to come out of the game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, if you think your Toy Story reference.
But I think that an official Schmodown minor league, man, if anything, I would expect there had to be some type of unification between all the fan leagues then. Or at least be working in like synonymously with each other.
I think ultimately that ends up being up to like.
You're really chopping out, Matt.
I said ultimately I hope that, and I think that ends up being a Christian and the managers type deal, because you have to be willing to decide who you want to put in that farm system. Like, let's say. Like let's say for some godforsaken reason, Shannon saw the Rager versus the Master, and she's like, "That Rager kid, I want to give him a shot."
Word.
Because let's be honest, that would be that.
We got the. Why am I blanking on the word? We got the freaking spokesperson for the encourager in our group, in our chat right now. But Matt, before you buzz out again, there's a noticeable lack of Natty Breelove, yes, in your name, which I totally understand. But for those who don't know, Natty Breelove, yes, go ahead and tweet that to Natural Light. We're trying to get our boy sponsored by Natural Light. So that, I mean, and if you want to, Connie Ice Baby, same thing, does the same purpose. But no, for an encouragement, I'm sorry, it's the encouragement. I apologize, but that's the word I was looking for. But if that's the case, then with the Schmodown, because I don't know from a manager's perspective how 10 people works. I don't know if 10 people is a good number. I don't know if 10 people maybe is a little too much, because in some cases we've seen, oh my God, you did it first. Jesus Christ, go ahead. We've seen a lot of people get left out this season for whatever reason, whether it's just their schedules or they chose not to compete. We saw a lot of releases in the middle of the year. Yep. So I think that's where the Schmodown can get a little wonky in regards to an official minor league and adding more people into factions, especially, for example, if we are using, say we use the Encourager as an example from our Really Trivia Showdown fan league. If they're out in Los Angeles, especially when they go back to studio, and the Encourager is out here in Ohio, then that could be an issue, especially in regards to traveling. Granted, it's just a minor league, and that's where the online thing comes in.
Yeah, Christian said the online aspect is looking like it's going to become the minor league. That's why I brought that up specifically.
And I know with the league itself, at least a majority of the league is from that area.
Yeah.
So unless the Schmodown is willing to, that means the live events really must be coming out popping in the next few years. And I guarantee Christian's jonesing to do a live event again. Trust me, we're jonesing for you to do one.
Yeah. But Chicago, please. Chicago,
Houston. I'll go to Houston.
Yeah, I'll go to Houston.
But an official Schmodown minor league, the the semantics. That's where I start asking questions because it sounds great in theory. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to keep the online thing going. Granted, it's a little extra work on the managers, question writers, and the people at the top's problem to deal with, especially with more people, more personalities, whatever. But at the moment, maybe not. But I love to see this online thing going, especially with how the country's going. We may be online going into next season. Odds are we will be online.
Hold on, Chris. We got some breaking Schmodown news, actually. Christian went into the Facebook page about 17 minutes ago. What a process. The Schmodown official rulebook has been submitted. Thank you to the team who put it together, and to William Bibbiani for organizing it and putting it together in a full document. So we have an official rulebook now.
Give me the PDF, baby.
I PDF wasn't posted, but I'm wondering if they're gonna. A lot of people are wondering if they're gonna sell it. What exactly? So
I'll buy the thing hardcover. Amazon it. Give it to me. I'll buy it. Go. But that's nuts. An official rulebook. Okay. Now the Schmodown, it's the mental sport Christian's been talking about. And now we have that rule book to really set the standard, especially for people that are coming into this thing, or for people like us that want to try to emulate what they do over there. We have something to go off of. And there's an official thing to where people don't have to come challenge and work their way into getting certain points because, this isn't clearly stated. Like how we've seen a lot of other competitors do, some in their favor, some not in their favor. But now we have an official thing to go off of match by match. And yes, please, and please sell it. Have Brian Ward do the cover. It'd be hard. It'd be so hard. Or Attack Peter. I think it's his name. Attack Peter, the guy that does the shirts.
Yep, Attack Peter.
That's hard. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, it's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the whole should there be a D League, AAA League, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, there should be. Yeah. There should be. I mean, if you're a sport, eventually it'll make sense to have the you're not there yet, but you're there.
Yeah.
But how you would do it, how you would go about it, that's a big step.
I mean, I think it would be beneficial to even a lot of players we have in the current leagues because I like Sabina Graves, but I think she could use a little bit of extra seasoning. So why not have that call up, sitting down option going for members of your squad where you get those D League, G League games going and it keeps them fresh, helps them learn the rules a little bit better because some players do need to do that. Let's be honest.
Oh, I mean, and that's what the rule book's for, 100%.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It can be super helpful and honestly help it grow more because think about it this way. It can be like NXT where you see somebody killing it and you're excited for that moment they finally get the call up. I got you.
But until you run into the problem of, at least in regards to Sabina, and I'll address the NXT thing in a second because that was good. I like that. But the Sabina thing, to a lot of people, and I guarantee to people in the Schmodown, whether they're competitors, managers, or even Christian up top, Sabina may be a top 50. You know, she probably just had a bad day. Like, yeah, and I'm not saying she's like, she shouldn't be in the league because of course she should be. She's there for a reason. But I don't want the Schmodown minor leagues to become a testing ground for established competitors facing off against fans or people, whoever would be in the minor leagues. I don't want that to be the thing because that's what NXT became, to use NXT as an example. NXT started off as a developmental. It was that for years. And then WWE decided to, there's some good people on here. Let's put this on TV. And now they're on TV every week. But your champion is the guy that was on the main roster a year ago. That's the problem. So if you
the NFL is I can use the NFL. I can use AAA baseball. It's for those people who are the fringe type players, and it gives them a chance to get better and improve themselves. So
I like I said, I just need to know how this is going to work.
Right.
If anything, in the rule book at the end of the book, before you have your credits, give me a coming soon or whatever the hell minor, like a Schmodown minor league. Like, or whatever the hell you're going to call it, the proving ground, the cutting room floor. Just saying, just like stuff like something like that, so I can see how it's going to pan out. Then I'll have a better picture in my head. But just the idea of a minor league full of fans.
Taylor just said NXT is also arguably better than the WWE main show the majority of the time. And I think quality of matches, I think you'd get a lot of entertaining matches out of it because you're going to have people of similar skill sets. And
can you rotate who you like? Say okay, let's say you have 15.
That's where I was bringing baseball into, because like say somebody a cold streak and you have somebody on your developmental side of the roster on a hot streak. Well, we're gonna send you down to bring them up and see how things go. Because the MLB does that all the time.
But at the same time, the MLB players aren't the ones choosing. Like, okay, the players in the Shimona have a lot of say into what they do with their characters. With sometimes, if you're big enough, you have like storyline decisions. Like that's a big thing. Yeah. And in WWE, you get told what to do.
Yeah.
Of course.
But you also have to factor in what Christian has been harping on all year since the year. I want this to become more of a sport because it is a sport. Sure, do 1,000%. Do we have the wrestling backdrop or the wrestling side of things? But ultimately, when it comes down to it, it's a sport. So if a manager feels like, hey, I got to send you down, because it's someone who's on the bottom fringe side of the roster, and there's someone who else is on their D-League roster, and it's like, all right, I'm going to bring them up. That it's only fair. That's what I'm saying. Don't have it be like it's a free-for-all for that. You should have those extra spots on the roster like a G-League team would, or the MLB, or in the MLB would, because I know for the G-League, they allow like 2 or 3 protected players from an NBA roster to be on the G League roster. And the only team that those players can go to are the team of that whoever owns that squad.
I would love to hear like someone from the Schmodown's point of view on a minor league, like a legitimate, like if this were to happen, how they view it. Like not Christian, but like a manager or a competitor, some like whoever. It's like, what if there was a minor league? How would you see it pan out? Or how do you think it'll pan out? Granted, I guarantee they've had conversations about it. I guarantee it. Especially with how this has excelled doing the whole StreamYard thing. It's been leaps and bounds better than what anyone could have expected.
Right.
I guarantee it's blown them out of the water too.
Oh yeah. Christian's even said, he's like, I didn't expect it to be as successful as it has been in this digital age. He's like,
we're getting some of the best matches ever.
Yeah.
Over the summer of COVID-19, which is nuts to even think about. And that's why everyone's so skeptical to start. Myself being a main proponent, I was like, but I mean, yeah, I was like, like, okay, like it was intriguing. And you can go back and check out the archive spin from the reels. I guarantee I said, like, I'm interested, but I want to see how it pans out. And we've seen how it pans out, and it's freaking incredible. And getting some of my favorite matches and character moments of the last few seasons. Well, not even just a year, of the last few seasons. We've seen some incredible promos cut in the last few months.
It's spectacular.
Spectacular. Like, like, that was fantastic. And you don't know if you'd get that same energy in the studio. The history of the Schmodown has took a right turn for the better since COVID-19 hit, in my opinion. You've made more stars. You've established more storylines. You've got to do more swag with what Swag's doing this year. Like has been fantastic. They've been the talk of the town for the Schmodown. The Finstock Exchange they're doing what they've been doing. They were projected to kick ass, and they're kicking ass. Whether Roka's losing matches or not, who cares? They're still a great faction. Corruption. Yeah, they went from bottom to top, but we kind of expected them to be good, especially with Chance and Mike being the horns of that bull. But now Swag, there was a decent amount of question marks, but a lot of the better performances have come out of people we necessarily didn't expect. We knew we were going to get great things out of Lon. We knew we were going to get great things out of Paul. But to me, Ace, surprise of the summer. Holy hell. Liz Shannon Miller's advancing in the tournament. She could possibly beat Chance and keep going. So like what?
I'd love what you did because that just means keeping them make you eat crow.
So and I mean I will happily serve up a big plate of crow and eat it. That's my whole gimmick on the show. My name is Crow Anthony Lopez as far as I'm concerned on this very program. But Swag has been the talk of the town. Who knows if that's the case in studio? You know what I mean? The vibe may be different. People might lose matches. Some other people might win matches. And Swag is maybe in the bottom half. But now they're top 3. And maybe COVID-19 had a part of that. Who knows? But in the history books, this year the Schmodown, whether it's 10 years in the future or if we're looking back at the beginning, this year will be probably the most important.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best, but the most important ever.
I don't
the handbook being one of them.
Go down as the best just because of all the ways that everything's been working against it, and to be where we are now, it's just like, wow, I can't believe that we got here like this. Like it wasn't even supposed to be this way.
And that's where my hesitancy came in the beginning, because I felt gutted. Because the studio stuff was phenomenal. Like I went back and rewatched. I think it was after Ben and Guy had their match a couple weeks ago. I went back and watched some of their previous encounters and their cut scenes, and they've done some great stuff, and that all happened in studio. So when they announced, oh yeah, we're going online, I'm like, it's not going to be the same. Like that sucks because I want more of that. But now I've seen what these people are capable of doing, especially with the times of changing. And I guarantee the competitors were a little wonky at it at first. And a lot of people were verbal about it. They were like, this may not be great. But now it's proven everyone wrong. Everyone that was hesitant about it or that didn't like it, look at what we got. And even it's exceeded expectation, as you just mentioned. It exceeded Christian Harloff's expectation. That's the dad of the Schmodown. And it exceeded his own expectation. What the hell? Like, if anything, if this Schmodown tournament so far, the singles tournament has become like upset city. No one's safe. Doesn't matter who you are. You can be the outlaw John Roca. You can be the killer Mike Kalinowski. Like, you can possibly lose anytime. Doesn't matter who you're playing. You could lose this game. And the Schmodown, arguably, like, it's its own upset in itself. There are a lot of people counting it out when it went online, and now look at it now, thriving on this YouTube platform, on Twitch. When they're on Twitch, they're killing it. As I get off my soapbox, let me. No, but this year's been nuts, and if they do go through the minor league, that's another tally in the pros column.
Yeah.
It'd be groundbreaking, and that's why I want to hear from someone who's in the league itself.
I honestly, I want to hear more so from Christian, because he's the one who's like
that too.
And granted, who knows? Maybe we cut this out and send it to them, and maybe it can get brought up on something, because I'd love to hear their thoughts. Considering it's been brought up, we have one in, so maybe I'll send it to that person first. Get their thoughts on it.
I would love their 2 cents on it, honestly, because they're involved in the Schmodown. I want to hear someone because as fans, of course, we want to see a minor league, because that's like, ooh, like, you got a minor league over there. Let me like.
I think
that's why I'm saying I want
the way to get
to
to those 5, because Christian even talked about it. He's like, we were about to have a studio right before COVID hit. We were literally about to have a studio for our shows, and then the Schmodown.
Mm-hmm. And now that they announced the whole slate, that when they announced the whole slate of shows, it's another incentive into having their own space, and I can't wait till they have their own space. It's going to be so dope. But the Schmodown and what it's doing right now, a minor league makes sense. It makes 100% sense. And if Christian were to announce it at the end of the year, like at Spectacular, remember we were talking about how we might hear something crazy at Spectacular? That might be it.
That could be a part.
That might be it. That'd shake the whole league, because not only are we inviting more people from these fan leagues that have been idolizing the Schmodown like how we are over here, like it's growing as a sport. Because we're so used to seeing these people that we're watching on YouTube, whether It's from Screen Junkies, from Collider, from whatever other outlet the Shrona has pulled talent from. But now we're reaching out to these smaller people who started as fans. We just saw what Adam Collins did. I want to know where he was in 2016 when he was watching freaking the Schmoes No Movie Show.
BRB, preparing my client's highlight reel audition tape.
Yo, we can, and let's finish the season first in Courageor or Courageant, and then let's talk about highlight reels. Come on, play me first, and then we can talk about a highlight reel on this show. Oh, but I want to see how the league grows, and it does make perfect sense to have a minor league eventually. I don't know if right now is the time, but within the next year, if we hear something about a minor league, it's like, yo, that's hard. Hearing about it now, like, you just rocked my world if we've been talking about it for 10 minutes.
We've been talking about it for 20 minutes.
Just at the hypothetical of a minor league. Just the hypothetical. So if it were to come into fruition, by all means. And if we have to make our real highlight reels, then yeah, cool. I'll send my tape. Who am I sending it to? What Gmail? Just go ahead and tell me. Yeah, play me, Encourager. Come on, what are you scared of? But I think
the Encourager needs a better record than 2-3 first to get there. So,
he's playing more than me. I'll tell you that. Like I'm out here jonesing for Friday. I'm jonesing. I'm amped. But we'll get to Friday later. So that make me talk about really trivia. I want to talk about movie trivia, and then we talk about really trivia.
Hey, but in this moment, it's one of those things where it kind of crosses over because we are a newer fan league that we're trying to build up, and if we can get some of our people into that developmental league that he's talked about and has mentioned on more than one occasion, then why wouldn't we? Sure, would we lose them? Yes, but to see those people succeed.
It'd be nuts. Watching these fans already, Marisol, Collins, Oyama, Chance, Chandru, freaking Smets. We've seen these people come from the fan leagues. Robert Parker come in and kick ass. And it's awesome to see because at the same time, hey, I know all of us were watching freaking SEN Live a year ago. I want to see these people succeed, of course. Whether I have a problem with their character or whatever, like that, screw me, I'm dumb. But just the fact that there were fans in my position watching the Schmoes No Movie Show when they were at Popcorn Talk just makes it real to me. And that's why I love and I admire the fans that have gotten into this league on top of the people who are already in it. But it's great to see, and I hope one day one of us gets to be a part of it. But until then, I will stand whoever the hell fan came out of the fan leagues into the Schmoedown.
I just had a thought to make this whole hypothetical situation even more interesting.
Oh God, you're gonna melt my brain, aren't you? We're almost an hour in, and we're still melting brains. I haven't talked about Dan and Ben yet.
All I was gonna say is you treat the developmental spots because you have your 10-man roster or 9-man roster. You treat those developmental spots like undrafted free agents. Those people who didn't get drafted are free to sign to whoever's roster they want if reached out to until those rosters are filled up, until the developmental rosters are filled up.
Oh, so it's like a pool of players.
Well,
and not just like, oh, you get 5, you get 5, you get 5. It's a pool of like 50.
Well, I'm just saying, per example, like Adam Collins, perfect example. He wasn't drafted this season. He wasn't drafted. He was picked up as free agent.
Yes.
And let's say we had that D League this year. What if corruption had just signed him right after the fact, like in the NFL, like they do in the NFL? All right, we're signing you as an undrafted free agent, and then go from there. Then he's on the practice squad, the D League, the AAA, farm system, whatever you want to call it. And he got to choose ahead of time which faction he wanted to go to. So those players are somewhat afforded the rights of the original 27. I'm thinking in sports terms is what I'm thinking.
You had me until you mentioned them picking where they went. Everything else made sense.
That's what happens with a lot of undrafted talent, because they're those fringe type players who have to develop more, so they get more of a shot to pick where they want to go, because you're going to pick the manager where you feel you have a better chance of developing, like Robert Montano did with Sam Levine.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. I can get behind that. Because it's not like you're still jumping right into the league.
Right. You're in that developmental portion of the league.
Okay. It's almost as if you're on NXT. Go back to wrestling for a second. You're on NXT, but you're still at the Performance Center. You're not on TV yet.
Exactly.
You're not on NXT TV yet. I see what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah. I can get behind that. How many people is it just now? It's just open to anybody.
It's open to who the managers reach out to until they fill out those 5 spots.
Well, I'm talking about, like, use the hypothetical of Collins. So say Collins went undrafted. So is everyone because I know when the draft there's a pool to pick from until freaking who would be considered a free agent? That's my thing. Like, you still have to go through a process to get into Christian's bird eye view. So there still has to be a pool to pick from.
Something we've learned this year is that a lot of these managers do watch fan league stuff.
So
that's something we learned in this draft. With this draft, we're like, watched them in the fan league, did my research, this, that, and the other. Who's to say a manager doesn't go to Christian, hey, I want to put this kid who's in this whatever fan league, I want to bring them up to my roster. Here's their film. Let me know what you think. And then that's how that gets decided.
Okay, so
it's at that point it's a free for all until the developmental rosters are filled up.
Isn't it crazy how much the word or the title of manager has grown in the last 16 months or 18 months?
Yeah,
isn't it nuts? Because I watched I forget who it was. Someone was on. Damn, I never forget the show it was on. But it was in regards to Shannon, how Shannon was just accompanying Mike and Chance to matches, Mike primarily. But then, now here she is, almost 10 months into the year, season's almost over. She's one of the most touted managers of the whole league, regardless of what you think, whatever, freak corruption, whatever. She's one of the best managers that this Showdown's got, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And 10 months. It went from, I'm going to go with Mike to the ring to, out here training with Adam, with Marisol, making sure that they kick ass and they're kicking ass and Chance. And she's taken on this whole different role. So the term manager has grown so far in such a short amount of time. But with what you're saying, it's going even further.
Yes.
We're getting deeper and we're growing the sports aspect of of this manager position into now you're essentially a scout.
Well, exactly. And that's kind of what this role has grown into, because they had to do that when it came to free agency. They had to be like, let me keep an eye on this player, keep tabs on them, talk to them throughout the season. Mm-hmm. Like, a manager in the Schmodown is the GM, the actual coach, and the scout. They're all 3 positions in one. So why not treat them as such? Why not give them the freedom as such to be all 3? Because I know there's that whole tier we have in the in whatchamacallit, in the Patreon where they have that tier.
Yeah.
After donating a certain amount, you can try out. I know there's that tier, but at the same time, if managers think they found this diamond in the rough and want to make sure that they're the ones who get them, that they've secured this talent, they're on my D-League roster and can't be taken from my roster until I either release them for someone else. And because I think it's fair to say those D-League players could be possibly released, just like someone on the main roster can be released, as we saw this season. I think it's only fair to include that, because what if they see someone else? What if someone's not performing well in that D-League? It's like, all right, maybe I was wrong and they need that extra time in the normal fan leagues.
It can the more we talk about this, the bigger I think this is becoming, and the bigger I think of a step this will be for the Schmodown. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I've already mentioned how good of an idea this is, it's getting bigger. It's more of a responsibility for the people in charge of this thing, like whether it's Winston, Tom, Shannon, Coy, Sam, Ken, whoever is going to be managing next season. It's a bigger responsibility on top, like because this isn't their day job,
right?
So it's going to be rough logistically to do.
For some of them, it is. For someone like.
For some, but not everybody.
Not everyone, but like Winston, where he's just podcasting all day, basically.
He's trying to get into acting too. He's going to be on Superstar now.
Yeah, I know. I messaged him as soon as that came out. I'm like, yo, that's like one of my favorite shows. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a while he's been on Superstar. But like, it's a big leap, and for people that have a day job and the Schmodown's like their side hustle, for lack of a better word, then it's going to be a larger responsibility. And can the Schmodown, and I hate to talk about this on this program, but can the Schmodown logistically afford it? Like, you know what I mean?
I think they can.
Because it's totally doable.
The Patreon keeps growing. Christian has gone on record saying, yeah, they actually get paid. Managers get paid.
Oh, and I figured they did.
So if maybe you up their pay a little more, be like, hey, but it's I'm not saying they have to look for other talent. I'm just saying if they want to go from that pool of players who was in the draft pool and didn't get drafted, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
They should have that freedom to, if they decided to check out a fan league match or two, to be able to go to Christian like, hey, I think there's something with this person. I want to bring them on my D-League. I'm just saying they should have the freedom to do that. They don't have to do it. They should have that freedom to do so if they choose to. If they choose to put in that extra effort.
Like this conversation really made me think big picture, because my brain's fried trying to think of how this can work, because it totally can.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just, I would love, because we're two fans.
I told you I'm big picture guy.
Yeah, and I'm thinking big picture now, because in reality I'm thinking about like what's going on tomorrow. Who's tomorrow? Oh, it's Riley and Harry. That's gonna be awesome. But thinking big picture, like, I mean, this is the next thing. And if you really want to get freaking crazy, this is a whole separate league. If you want to get crazy, like, how we started this conversation with an official minor league.
He said it would be a whole separate league, because the minor league is its own league that's just going to be that grounds for people to develop more. That's all it is. So it is its own.
And that's why I mentioned it a long time ago in this conversation, when like all these fan leagues have to work together, because now we're going to start like synergizing, if that's even a word, to be that minor league, you know, because Christian, like pulling people from all these different leagues, like wherever he plumbed Chance from, Oyama from, Marisol from, Smets, like all that stuff. That's where you got to have one giant pool that's essentially its own separate league. You got to have a whole separate team of writers, because PJ can't do everything. Granted, he's not the lead writer now.
This is part of the reason I brought that up, because on today's episode of SCN, somebody came after the writers, and Christian mentioned the fact. Yeah, they came after the writers for the Ben question for Ben's questions. And
why? No, stop.
Yeah, people aren't smart.
That's dumb.
But Christian brought up the fact. He's like, we want to add more writers to the team. We want to do this. And he's like, that's what the Patreon is there for. And as long as you can keep running the Patreon, then we can do this and we can do this. And they have the partnership with Skybound now. That partnership, they probably have a little bit more extra cash flowing their way, because they see how this can.
The Shimano needs a freaking sponsor. Where's Budweiser? Like, what? Where the like? Give me what? Come on, people.
DraftKings.
Yeah.
Christian talking about last week is like, get
DraftKings would be hard. I bet on the Schmodown as I probably shouldn't.
No. It's a Schmodown fantasy league where you bet money and win for the week.
That'd be hard, ain't it? I'd do that.
Yeah.
I would do the hell out of that. On DraftKings, geez, that'd be nuts, wouldn't it? But okay, so the Schmodown keeps growing and growing and growing. A minor league's inevitable. I feel like it's just a matter of time. It's not an if anymore. It's a when.
And he's mentioned next year could be that one. That's why I bring this up, because I think it is.
That'd be insane, and that's just more to take in, because I mean, I'm gonna use baseball as an example. Baseball teams, if you're a fan of, say, the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs, odds are you know who the studs are at the Iowa Cubs, their AAA team, because like you want to keep an eye out so they can come to the big leagues, so they can come play for the Chicago Cubs. So with something like this, with the minor leagues,
apparently go Indians.
Yeah, sure. But if you want to have a minor leagues, that's from a fan perspective, like not even as a fan who wants to compete, as a fan who wants to be a fan, like that's awesome to see. Like, oh, you hear about that Collins guy? Collins is really kicking ass in the Schmodown cutting room floor, which I'm gonna keep pounding that in until it happens. The Schmodown cutting room floor, so someone can be picked up and put into the picture.
That's my other thing. If you have that fan league, someone like Adam Collins gets picked up way sooner, and we know about him more because of it.
And it even felt like when Adam's first match happened, like Christian knew little to nothing about him, which is really interesting. But and that just further adds to your point of the familiarity with the managers and their competitors is just that's at a managerial level. It's not even at a commission level. So I'm just like this could be nuts. And when it happens, because it's not if, it's when it happens, something like this happens. It won't start off as big as we're picturing it right now. But when the pieces are put into place, I will be the first person to be like, hell yeah, that's a great idea, great job, and hopefully I get to be a part of it one day. But until then, I'm still be coming on this show talking about how kick-ass a minor league would be in the movie Trivia Schmodown 1,000%. Holy God, that'd be nuts. Jeez, that went for half an hour. But
over half an hour.
To mention the handbook one more time.
Getting caught up in wins and losses shameful. He and I are here to put smiles on the children's faces.
Don't be creepy. Come on, you're better than that, encourager. Come on, don't be creepy. But in regards to the breaking news that happened, the handbook, yes.
Give me a copy. I want to read it. I want to
read it for myself. Because I mean, yeah, it's cool and all that you tell everybody, but what's the first reaction you're going to get when you tell somebody for the kids? Encourager's not for the kids. Let's be real. But when you tell the fans, hey, we have a handbook, what's the first reaction going to be? Oh, cool, or oh, I want one. Like, that's hard. Like, I want one. I want a physical copy so I can have it and read it as my bedtime story to myself. Reading round one rules, like how Tommy Blink does for our stuff.
Yep.
So, damn, that's so dope. That is so dope. That makes me so happy. This season has been nuts. This year, I'm going to double down on my point. This is the most important year the Spawn's ever had.
Yeah.
The most important.
This year because of COVID. It really could have.
That's another reason why I was scared. So I'm like, yo, like if this is not great, like it cannot pan out. Like the league could suffer because of it. But nah, it's excelled. And the Star Wars tournament will be, that's the point where all this fun stuff started with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are months later, and we're getting some of the best matches Schmodown's ever seen. We're getting some of the best moments Schmodown's ever seen. And I feel like this could be a decent segue to talking about both of those things that happened on Friday. A great moment in Schmodown history and a great match, probably the greatest match in Schmodown history.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. And Ben Bateman and Dan Murrell for the singles belt. Yeah. Am I outlandish for saying that?
No.
Because holy hell. I mentioned at the top of the show, these matches give me anxiety. They've stressed me out because that's how invested I am. That's why I can't watch Cubs baseball, because it gives me a heart attack every time I watch it.
No, we're going to watch live together tonight.
And when one of these days, we got to come on the show and do like a live freaking as it happens, so y'all can watch me have a stroke on camera. But I think that this match, Ben Bateman and Dan Murrell, not only did it start hella hot as I had in my notes, this thing was it was a masterpiece. It's a masterclass in Schmodown. If you want to know how to play the damn game, you're coming and watching this damn match with Murrell and Bateman as our boy comes back in. What's going on, Nick? Perfect timing, my man. What's up?
Howdy.
So, Nick, I want your 2 cents. I've been talking a lot. You missed the whole conversation. We talked about a possible Schmodown minor league.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, we talked about that for half an hour. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
And then the whole time you were gone, that's all we talked about.
You guys really waited. I'm sorry.
And
No,
we
we
didn't wait. It was
Oh, good.
yeah, like it wasn't us trying to like kill time. We genuinely had a decent conversation about it. And then Schmodown Handbook, if you can hear me,
Yes,
Schmodown Handbook got confirmed by Christian on the Facebook page. So that's
nice.
a thing. Don't know if we can buy it yet, hopefully. So, but I want your 2 cents on the match between Ben and Dan. Go ahead, please.
Oh boy. What a match. What did we watch? We watched one of the greatest Schmodown matches ever, and it was over StreamYard. That is insane. The fact that, like, you know, I always think that, like, the biggest matches always come from the live events. You know, we have great matches in studio, and that's wonderful, but the biggest matches come from live events. And who would have thought that the biggest matches of the year would be, well, we were sitting behind our computer, well, they were sitting behind their computer in front of a camera, doing all the matches remotely. It was incredible, and it was really just cool to see. Now, that said, the ending, listen, if anybody, I guess spoilers, but I guess I'm going to guess obviously.
Full spoilers. I mean, everyone's heard about it by now.
Ben Bateman, man. If there is anybody who is the, you know, I almost forgot he was a heel for a while. Holy crap. If anybody I know can do the best heel work I have ever seen, it is Ben freaking Bateman, making me completely forget, but their face work too, making me completely forget that team action was even a thing. Bateman, man, listen, I kind of assumed that something was going to happen, that they had something planned for the ending of the match, and they added to Just Reason for why this match was never going to be easy for Bobby Gucci, because he's pinning faction mates against each other. It proves that he does obviously have one of the best factions around, but my goodness, you could cut the freaking tension with a knife at the end when they were just taking jabs at each other over and over again. Even the interview portion was insane. Listening to them listening to Gucci answer questions afterwards was so intriguing to me, because, you know, he's basically explaining to everybody who's kind of like, you know, I'm painted into a corner here. How am I not supposed to support both of my competitors? And I thought that he did a pretty good job of that. But Bateman taking the L and taking it hard, dare I say. It was very interesting to watch the match unravel. Very back and forth the whole time. I thought Bateman had it the whole time. I'm not gonna lie. Like, especially coming after that perfect game, like he was coming in hard. This won't be the last time that he's going to be there, but it will obviously be the last of the season. And I am just super intrigued to see the storyline play out moving forward.
Matt, we talked about this match in nauseum last week, how torn apart we were in regards to both of these men and who's going to come out on top. We both ultimately said Ben, but we both said it was a coin flip, and that our answers will probably change leading up to that.
The difference between you and me was you were going Ben the entire time, and I said I want Murrell. Murrell is who I wanted, but I ultimately thought it was going to be Ben, and I hoped my prediction was wrong.
I said it was a coin flip, and that if you asked me again on Thursday, I probably would have given you a different answer. Spoiler alert. I don't remember. I probably would have said Ben anyway.
You said Ben the entire time. That's why I brought it up.
I said it was a coin flip. I said it was a coin flip.
I know. I'm giving you the coin flip. I'm just saying, like, if ultimately on that coin, I'm choosing Ben. That was where you stand.
I mean, and yeah, because I was confident in Ben Bateman's actions, and I'll get to Ben Bateman in a second, but I want your 2 cents on the match. I've talked about it enough. What did you think about watching Dan and Ben do their thing, duking it out? And Dan was the first one to miss. I thought that was really interesting, too.
No, this match, I was shaking a lot of it, actually. Nick Sloan, normally known for shaking, I was just like,
Okay.
Sorry, Nick.
Sorry, hi. I'm here.
But
Go on.
I because of the player Dan is, that's who I was rooting for. I couldn't stand to see, and you can ask Nick. I was the exact opposite way in February when we had versus Murrell one. Nick was full on.
I'm a Murrell ride or die because,
Yeah.
like I said, I'll explain it like this. I associate who I'm familiar with. So when I was growing up watching wrestling, I watched a lot of TNA because that was all I could watch, and I loved AJ Styles, and I still pull for him going into the WWE. Same thing here was I watched a lot of Screen Junkies before this, so Dan Murrell all the way, and I'm putting all my cards on Dan Murrell.
We do have a comment here. Nick, I can't see your name at all, but if I could, I suspect I would notice Natty Breedlove Yes is missing from it.
Okay. Perhaps, but it's also missing from Matthews. Natty Breedlove, yes.
Yeah, so go ahead and tweet Natty Breedlove, yes, or
please.
Connie Ice Baby at Natural Light. Let them know you want Connor Breedlove as their face of Natural Light. But go ahead, Matt. Please continue.
I agree.
But like, I didn't wear this jersey today for no reason at all. You know who this is, Chris? You know whose jersey this is?
That is, I believe it's a LeBron James jersey.
Yes, and LeBron James is the GOAT, just like Dan Murrell.
I mean, you're spitting hot fire. Yes, I cannot agree anymore. That Dan Murrell is the GOAT.
Yeah.
And that's it. But go ahead, but with Ben.
But when it came down to it, it's like that third round is what scared me the most.
The third round or the fifth round?
The third round.
Oh, the betting round.
The betting round.
Word.
When Dan bet 2 and missed, and Ben bet 3 and hit, which made for a huge 5-point swing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into the fourth round. They both pass on the same question, but Ben got one right and Dan passed on an extra question. It's just one of the, it's like, so then you have Ben up 6 going into that fifth round, and you're just, at that point you're praying for the miracle of what happened in Atlanta, where once again he had that huge upswing in points right in that fifth round in Atlanta, and this time it happened again, and you're just like, oh yeah, let's go. This is I wanted. This is the excitement I'm here for.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dan gets the lead, and we get what has become, for Ben's first question, what has become a well-documented argument over the past 5 days. Yeah. And that is the question of Lucas Black. I knew that question immediately. I would say that is a 2-point question. I don't know if you guys knew it, but I did.
Admittedly, I was looking for the other guy the entire time in my head.
Were you looking for Han too?
I was looking for Han. I was looking for Han. And it's just, and the only reason why I was looking for Han was the only reason why I will say that I was looking for Han is because he would be the most recent in my mind.
See, the key to that question is, who was the lead in Fast and Furious 3?
Yeah, I don't watch.
Yeah, and that's the
bad movies, so I didn't. I'm just kidding. Go on.
And that's the key difference. That's the key point in the question. Who was the lead in Fast and Furious 3? Who reprised their role in Fast and Furious 7? Han's dead already in Fast and Furious 7. Fast and Furious 7 is about getting revenge for Han.
In Ben's defense, before we continue, Ben admitted on backstage he had not seen Tokyo Drift.
Yes, he did. Because originally Tokyo Drift was supposed to be a straight-to-DVD movie, and then Lucas Black had been hot, so they're like, all right, we're going to make this a theater movie and see what happens. And honestly, if they did not make that decision, we would not be where we are right now at that franchise, so that was a brilliant decision on their part. But Lucas Black because of, and it's also a little bit of recency bias, because I know Lucas Black for 42, where he was one of Jackie Robinson's teammates. He was Pee Wee. And it's just one of those things where, like, yo, man, that's a 2-pointer. It's you look at the poster, who's one of the first names you see on it? Lucas Black. Who was the lead in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift? Lucas Black. So
I see it. I agree with you. I think a 2-point ruling on the question is valid. Because I mean, I've been, for some reason, I've been chatting about Lucas Black for a lot of the time the last few weeks, especially whether it's this past Sunday on Real Talk. We talked about Fast and Furious for God knows how long. But I like these movies, and I've seen Tokyo Drift a few times. And Lucas Black, like what you said, he was in 42, so I saw him there. But besides that, that's where you lose me on Lucas Black. So I understand Ben's POV on, like, yo, who the hell is this guy? Mm-hmm. Which I get it, because still to this day, who's Lucas Black? That's the biggest. They'll forever follow Ben Bateman in the Schmodown. He could be a 5-time, 6-time, 7-time singles champ, and he'll still be like, oh, Lucas Black. But it's, to me, it was still a 2-point question. It's a cast.
It's Roka's Bespin. That's what this is.
Yeah,
the equivalent.
Yeah, that's what it is. Granted, Roka, Star Wars King, he missed a Star Wars question, which is like, especially from my POV, I'm like, what? Like, holy hell! But a Tokyo Drift question.
An action question for an action guy. You got to think about it that way.
That too, and a movie he hadn't seen. So, and that was the part that surprised me the most. Is that after the fact, I'm like, yo, you haven't seen Tokyo Drift at least once? Like, just the one time? I don't, like, just out of curiosity. I feel like people have seen that movie.
And see, that's part of the reason I have issues with his comments. He made after the comments Ben made after loss. Is like, Tokyo Drift from a major franchise, this, that, and the other. My manager hasn't prepped me for something from a major franchise. You know it's from a major franchise. You should expect a question if it's from a major franchise. You should have at least watched every film of your franchise.
Valid. Yeah. And I mean, I disagree with what you're saying about how the why the question's a 2-pointer, but I agree to the question should still be a 2-pointer. It's a casting question for the third movie. Granted, I don't think Tokyo Drift's even in regards like to the biggest of the franchise. It's definitely the ugly stepchild of that whole franchise. I think that's pretty much a fact.
But it's also become the linchpin of the franchise, which is funny.
Which, I mean, that's a questionable decision on the storyline front, but we can debate that later. But I think that yeah, I understand why the movie's not the biggest in his mind. Because, I mean, geez, I don't care about Tokyo Drift. I still don't. But I still know it's Lucas Black, you know?
You don't have to fight, man.
So, and I'm telling you, we can do that later. We can do that in Real Talk. We can fight about freaking.
I'm out this episode then.
Oh, no, you're fine. But
it's the last movie that was actually about racing, and that's why people should remember it. Thank you, Taylor.
True. I mean, and arguably the franchise got better when they ditched the racing, but again, we'll talk about this later. So, but Ben Bateman, that will be his best friend, and that the action guy missing the action question will follow him for at least for a while now, because now he's done. This is what Ben Bateman will be marinating in for the rest of the season going forward. So because
this season's done. This season is done.
It's done. He's the boss. Ain't in the team's tournament.
I have issues about some of his comments on backstage that we'll save for after we talk about the dance side. Mm-hmm.
So the match itself, I was like Matt in the third round. I'm like, oh my god. When he got that Birds question, I lost my mind.
Yep.
I freaked out like he did. I was like, woo! I did that just like him. And just like Nick, I'm like this match is like it's two heavyweights. It's two it's I think Taylor had mentioned this earlier in the Twitch chat. It's Michaels and Taker. Yeah. Who's winning?
And that's actually something he said is the Bateman Murrell feud, the Schmodown's answer on Undertaker or HBK.
it will be going forward.
I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know if that will be the case because Ben's gone on record. I have no issues with Ben. Now, if you go to backstage to
Real fast, I like that. We should do that.
we do actually have another show in development we'll talk about after this with you, Chris.
Breaking news.
But
Wrestle real first.
yeah, we gotta do Wrestle first. But
we'll talk about that later.
We're working on it. All right.
But he kind of went at Roka yesterday on backstage, to where he kind of basically at Roka's last episode as a host on backstage, and he's like, yeah, Roka, you know what? I'm just gonna plow everyone through in my way. This and he's like, and that means you. And then he kicked them off, and you're just like.
That was hard, ain't it?
I'm like, that set me up for more of a and you saw the old evil heel Ben back in his face after he kicked him off and everything. And that's like, all right, we're gonna get the Roka and Ben feud going young, because that was a feud.
Mm-hmm.
That was I think that's the feud you're gonna actually get as an answer to that.
Well,
go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so I have to ask, because I guess I don't understand the backstage side of this. So, are they playing their characters when they're on backstage, or are they? Because it seemed like I tried to. I wasn't watching live, but I skipped through it to see if anything happened, because I knew who they were going to have on, and like that is where the fireworks can happen. And I feel like up until that end point, I didn't really see much that I felt was worthy of, like, so I guess all I'm trying to understand is it more kayfabe on backstage than anything else, where we're supposed to everybody's kind of cool with each other until that last moment?
No, backstage is primarily a show with no kayfabe whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to things like we saw yesterday, or what we've seen in the past with other competitors,
I'm listening. The computer's not plugged in, so
you're fine. They will end up playing their characters for like a small portion of it to possibly set something up real quick, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So
it stays at a minimum, and like yesterday, like what Matt just brought up with Bateman going at Roka a little bit, inciting maybe a feud going forward, especially going into next season. But some of the better moments character-wise in the Schmoedown have happened on backstage, in my opinion. And a lot of people, their character is their personality, and they believe what they're saying. Like Ben's putting on a character, like, because that's Ben's not like action. Team action is Exhibit A. Those guys aren't. They're not.
That's how the Schmoedown thing started. That's Schmoedown got started on backstage.
So what Ben did yesterday was he was cool with Roka and Dan the whole time, and they talked candidly about the match. But
and
then
Riley came on, and
Riley came on. They spoke candidly about the match, and then when stuff like that happens, where it's like, I'm going through you first, and then takes them off the stream, then like you're gonna incite a reaction from people, like, oh, heel Bateman's back, which by all means, yes, please. So the kayfabe, it takes a back seat to backstage, but the little bits are what matters.
It'll pop its head every here and there, and in
so
a big way, even though it'll be a small portion, it pops its head in a big way.
Well, I will say this. I'm a wrestling fan. I was intrigued by the Schmoedown thing, right? But now all I want is to be sitting there watching. You see Ben Bateman turn around in his sunglasses, and then you see somebody reach their hand out for another pair, and Andrew Guy, and they form team action again, because, oh my goodness, was that the greatest tag team ever?
Are we opening up this can of worms?
Yeah, we
are. Go ahead.
I want
Nick to finish.
Oh, okay. I thought he was done.
Well, no, I'm saying, can we? I don't want to obviously derail the show.
Okay.
That's exactly what we were about to get into, because the last part of this episode is titled "Is this the end of the Finstock Exchange?"
Yes.
So
yes, to an extent, is the end of the Horsemen. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Unless that is the Barbarian replaces Ben Bateman.
That won't happen. We have basically confirmation that will not happen.
Why is that?
Because Chris, first, yesterday on Backstage, Ben revealed that Tom said it was going to be him and Craig as the team representing the Finstock Exchange.
Okay.
So, and then Gucci went back on his word after the Founding Fathers lost, put them in, and that's part of the reason he's pissed at Gucci. And then you want to go into explaining, Nick, why the Barbarian will not be is most likely not returning to the exchange.
So apparently, just for those who don't know, the post-match comments by Ben Bateman after the match on Friday, it was a lot of like, my faction did me dirty, my faction did me dirty, my faction did me dirty, with the exception of the Barbarian. And the Barbarian doubled down on what Ben said on, I believe it was Facebook. So
Twitter, one of the two.
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
so
yeah, okay.
he doubled down on what Ben said. He's like, yo, I'm out here with Ben, whatever. So, okay, I have a few things. A, Nick, you put the biggest smile on my face mentioning freaking reuniting team action, because so many things went through my brain. First of all, both the Shmominati is a ruse. So Andrew was essentially not waiting, but waiting for Ben to come back.
He threw the match.
Reform team action. Or I don't know about throwing the match. That's how the chips fell. That's just how the chips fell. Let's say that. And then, now Ben. God, I'm so excited. Okay, the Finstock Exchange, as we know, is over and done with, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Like what Nick said, the Horsemen are done. I think Riley is not going to be chosen by Finstock. I think the only two people that Finstock keeps are the Founding Fathers,
because they have a say in where they go. But I think as long as Dan still has the belt and the Fathers contend for that championship at Spectacular, I think Roka stays.
And I think that is why, like, I think that is like, I think how the matches play out, and it's storyline, how the matches play out kind of determine how things are going to go. Because I thought that I kind of thought that if Murrell lost, then this same thing was going to happen, except it was going to be the Founding Fathers who were in Ben's place. And now you have your faces versus your heels. So anything that I thought that maybe Roka was going to join Corruption, which I just thought he was, is sort of out of my brain now. Because you have Murrell, and especially if Bateman and Roka are going to be going at each other. So, sorry, Chris, go on.
No, you're fine. If Roka and Dan even make it to the finals of this team tournament, they're staying with Bobby Gucci. I think that's almost said and done. Fine. It's that third spot that makes me think, because I don't think Tom Dagnino wants Mark Riley, because I think he'll focus his energy more towards regaining the Barbarians' trust, keeping a guy like Dimolanta, because Dimolanta, we've seen, he made it to the Star Wars final. He'd easily be the Star Wars champion.
But we even said last week, Riley was one of those guys who could possibly fall to the draft, and Dagnino could be like, I can get Riley there. That
too, and if that's a strategy, is that the strat they have? Great. But in regards to Ben Bateman, I love what Nick said, like, because it's not the fall of the exchange, it's the fall of the Horsemen. Obviously, Tom's going to be manager next season. That's like, come on. But Ben Bateman, at least what I wanted last week was, like, Ben was going to take the dub and slowly turn heel as it goes. But when I got hit in the back of the head with the heel turn, I'm like, yes, please give me more, Master. So I was like, okay, cool. So I think that Ben, he's going to go by his lonesome. He will not take the Barbarian with him. That's how I am interpreting Ben Bateman's actions, especially with the team tournament happening. If Ethan and Guy don't get the job done, Guy's pretty much done with Sam Levine, as far as I'm concerned. I think, hear me out, the first thought that went through my brain, if the dungeon's not at the bottom and Kaiser returns as a manager, Smets, Bateman,
the dungeon's safe right now, if I remember correctly.
Now that, yeah.
I know that's a lot of inner geekdom talent, a lot of singles talent on that faction. But if I'm John Kaiser and I'm approached by the former team action, especially if, like what Taylor said, if this was a ruse from the beginning on Andrew's part, just to screw with everybody, he's the puppet master behind the Schmominati. He's been acting in this front as if somebody else was.
Okay,
Bring Ben along with you.
Yeah.
My God, go join Smets, proven inner geekdom commodity, potential singles and teams commodity, and go nuts. Oh my God. I think the future is so clear for Ben. It may not be with the dungeon, but he's going to be heel AF going into next season. I cannot wait to see it.
Well, do you think that could mean you keep Chance and Mike and then get Ben in corruption?
I don't know. I think Ben's going to go somewhere where he can guarantee he gets the partner that he wants.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because you want a tag team partner, whether it is the Barbarian or if it's Andrew Guy, Ben will go somewhere where he can take some. Yeah, no, Riley's that's a no-go. Not anymore.
But yeah. So here, I think the dungeon's basically safe because the Drew are all but done for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I said the dungeon's virtually safe because the Droogs are all but done for the entire season after Jader's match the other day against Tom.
Okay.
The Jader got and Taylor brought this to our attention. We barely touched on that match. Tom killed it. Jader got knocked out by Tom, or not knocked out, but you know what? Jader lost.
Jader played a great game. He went perfect the first and third round. Just got lost out by that second.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's hard for Jader. Good on you, man. Talk about another fan coming in this showdown and whooping ass. Fantastic. He just got out. He got outplayed by the game itself. Opponent's choice is the kiss of death. I don't care who you are. If you're getting opponent's choice, you're losing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that if you get opponent's choice, you are losing the match. Quote me on it. But I think
Taylor says, "Can anyone give me the Tom origin story?" We actually
watch the Looney Bin matches.
Yeah, we really don't have one. Realistically, all we know is that he was brought on by Video Drew last year where they were the Looney Bin. That's it. That's the entire story behind Tom.
Another great team that was split up by the draft, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But in regards to the future of the exchange, I honestly think Dan and Roka are staying. Unless something absolutely nuts happens in the last couple months. If the Founding Fathers get out of the first round of the team tournament, then everything counts out the bag.
Game. It's hunting. It's hunting season at that point.
I wanted to be Tom. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I put mine on too. But no, if that's the case, then Tom may be screwed out of everybody. The only person he might be able to keep is Demolanta, because at least out of your studs in the exchange. If Roka Murrell lose teams and Dan's just a singles champ going into the spectacular, how do you? If I'm John Roka, how do you not at least contemplate going somewhere else?
I agree. I think that is the truth. It all depends on, this teams tournament is going to determine a lot of the team tournament is going to prove a lot when it comes to how the rest of the season goes, especially if the Founding Fathers are bounced the first match, then I'm sorry, my Roka conspiracy theory is back on.
Oh, 1,000%. He could easily be corrupt.
But I think you end up in the Founding Fathers going up against that team of Hannah and Jader. Because history shows with these tournaments, the top team normally is given the weakest first round match.
They're given the play-in match, correct? So
they have to have a play-in match for that, if I remember correctly.
It's Paramo, Hannah, and I believe their name are the what was her name? The Witching Power, and Perry Nemiroff and oh my God, why am I blanking on her name? Haley Fouch, thank you.
But
so that's the plan.
Has that been confirmed? I
think Christian did confirm that they are the play-in match on Backstage last week.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
I think I can say that in confidence. I'm not confident on too many things, but I think that's one of them.
Me too.
But I mean, if what Nick said's right, if for whatever reason, if Roka's like, oh, I'm done with Dan, I'm done with the exchange, he's corrupt.
Well, I think 4 losses in a row is going to do that.
And Perry Nemirov's pretty freaking good. I think the Wishing Power is going to come out of that playing match, and then we will get the Witching Power versus Founding Fathers, which I don't remember how good Haley Fauch was at movie trivia, but a lot of things
she was killer. She was killer.
And now that Perry's back and out here beating people like Kalinowski, potentially beating Riley tomorrow, anything can happen. But my God.
Are we sleeping on Riley in this tournament?
Not sleeping on him, more so just that.
Because God, if he won, my goodness, would that be interesting for storyline purposes?
Oh yeah, if he won, that'd be great. It's just a matter of.
I don't think he will, but then again, every single person who I said I don't think he will about, except for like Tom and Bibiani, have lost so far. So I don't know.
That and
also that Tom making the Final Four pick that I made.
It's not a bad call.
If we're betting any money, I'm still in on that.
Well, he'd have to beat Ethan next, possibly.
Ooh, Tom versus
yeah, it depends on Z-Man versus on Ethan or versus Ethan Irwin. But if Tom versus Ethan's going to be a barn burner if it happens that way.
Yeah.
But but for Riley, that bottom right quadrant, I said from the jump that's the hardest quadrant by far. Because he's going to eventually run into Paul Oyama or Jeff Snyder. So that's not an easy match either.
I found somebody's mock-up of a tournament. So there it is. There's the mock-up somebody
Witt
made.
and Zipper was the playing match. Okay.
Yeah. Now,
I see now.
Irwin Guy as the second-round match for the Founding Fathers, possibly. That's a big one.
Guy has to bring it.
Guy has to bring it.
I still think Guy is going to character himself into a hole.
I
just do. I just do. I think that
I'm also not gonna say McKee Collins doesn't have a chance to beat them because
they could lose first round, dude.
And at that point, then Guy's definitely out. Because I think that if they lose. And Guy just completely steps out of it, and is perfectly fine. That will be that'll be a moment right there. Yeah. If they lose, and then Guy is just he's just perfectly normal after that, and puts on a pair of sunglasses. Sorry, jumping ahead too much, but
we're fantasy booking, and I love it.
Love fantasy booking the Schmodown, where if you fantasy book wrestling, then it could happen. If you fantasy book Schmodown, you just gotta hope to God that the person that you are having wins, because that could completely, because it's not staged.
If you try to fantasy book Schmodown, odds are it's going to come back and blow up in your face.
Oh, every single match could completely.
I do this every week. That's my gimmick on the show. I come on the show every single week. I'm like, wouldn't it be awesome if this happened? And
there you go. I'll join you, my friend. Because it's it's so intriguing to be like, hey, listen, we're sitting here oh boy, here's the wrestling side of me that's coming out. We're going, oh yes, I can't wait for Team Action to come out and win and yada yada yada, and then I don't know, Brendan Hanna's gonna be the Schmominati guy. It's just gonna be disappointing as shit. And
God, if that were to happen, I'd throw my.
It's just going to be the most disappointing ending, because I expect that from wrestling. And it's
yeah, you expect that from Vince's playground,
not AEW.
Yeah, apparently not. No, well, that's how we hope. That's what we're hoping for. Over here, we're fantasy booking AEW, but we get WWE results.
We don't know. That's the thing. It's who would have thought that that guessing the March Madness bracket for $1 billion for one of those tournaments would be a lot easier than booking a Schmodown tournament.
Yeah, booking movie trivia tournament. What the hell? But no, the future of the exchange, Ben's done. I think the Barbarian can be persuaded, depending on how the rest of the season can pans out. But I honestly think Ben is the only out of the Horsemen. Ben is the only confirmed name done with the exchange. He is done. he will be somewhere else, whether he's a rock star, whether he's in a dungeon, whether he's corrupt. Something like that will happen, and I cannot wait to see
How
it.
crazy would it be to see him be a rock star, considering the history that's there?
I think it'd be nuts.
The slap across the world.
I said that. I said on this show that Roxy's Achilles heel is her loyalty to her guys.
Yeah.
Her guys being Andreyko and Snyder. Not that they're bad. It's that, like, yeah, they didn't see too much of them this year.
Snyder's been going off lately about this is the last ride unless we win, yada, yada, yada. Like, Snyder can't keep his mouth shut. What if you saw a Bateman-Snyder team up?
Oh, God, that'd be gross in all the best ways.
I just don't want to. I know he's a heel. I hate Snyder so much.
And the match from Monday, the kid and Mark Andreyko, we see the rock stars aren't doing so hot. We saw Andreyko lose to Brendan Meyer.
Roxy and her hot numbers, sexy numbers aren't
them sexy numbers. They're really screwing over her guys in this tournament so far. And the only person she has left is Snyder, and he's facing freaking what's his nuts? Apollo Yama, who's a stud. Yeah, and Apollo Yama at this rate is probably gonna just run right through him. So I'm the rock stars. I don't know the future of the rock stars. I think Jericho might be the only lock, if that.
Yeah.
So I'm so that'd be nuts to see Ben Bateman be a rock star. Because Roxy has to go full heel if she already isn't. She has to.
She already has, apparently. So
I'll ask this question because it honestly does pose an interesting point. You have Jericho as a lock, and that's pretty interesting. You have Jericho as a lock. The guy will put eyes on your name. So I don't blame her if she picks him up. But the Quirky Mercs are doing pretty damn well.
Oh, so we've said that Kevin Smith is a lock for the match.
Do you think he's a lock?
That realistically, that's the outside. I would say Koi's 3 are locked in place.
Okay. If we drop,
I'm just curious.
If we drop kayfabe for a second, do we before they get locked? When's the next time you'll think we see these guys compete?
Well, Christian has already been on record saying he's trying to find this next match for Kevin because Kevin is like, I want to keep playing, and
Jericho isn't.
No, Jericho just said he wants to keep playing. He's trying to find the next match for both of them. We might see each competitor again by the end of the year.
I would love that, but that's my only concern. Just to drop kayfabe for a second is the availability of both these men. Granted, we're in a COVID-stricken country still, so we need to keep that in mind. So it's totally feasible. But once they go back to the studio,
Smith would probably be the easier one to book than Jericho, just with the wrestling schedule.
Yes.
Because considering they're talking about, like we brought up with the possible D League, he's talking about making digital a part of the Schmodown going forward. Why wouldn't you just use possibly Jericho as a digital only type player?
To answer the question, would you rather see Jericho Smith 2 or either of them face a Schmodown regular first?
I want to see a regular first.
Here's my thing, is that you're gonna run into. I know that I keep bringing up wrestling, but it's the easiest thing that I can compare.
No, Matt brought up wrestling first today.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, he brought up NXT by name. I know. I was shaking in my boots over here. I'm like, who the hell is this man?
I still know about it.
No,
studying up for Wrestle Room. That's what he's doing.
Aha.
Studying.
So my big thing with the idea of you don't bring a Goldberg back and then make him face against a Heath Slater. So I think that the issue is that you're going to be bringing these guys back against heavy hitters because you don't want to waste their time.
No. I wouldn't say that there's heavy hitters because the talk about the competition for Kevin Smith has been like a Rachel Silvestrini, a Brett Sheridan, a Ben Goddard.
I still don't. I don't know.
They're thinking record-wise. Like that's how they're looking at it. Like who else is 1-0 or who's 1-1, and that's how they're going to go.
I hope to God that that's the way that they go about it. I just worry that the fans aren't going to enjoy it because they're going to only be pitting these guys against heavy hitters, and I say that because of the effect of you don't bring a big name in You know, like, okay, here's the thing. What's his name? Guy, MMA guy, never faced a wrestler in his goddamn life, and he comes in and he faces against Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship in his first match. You know what I'm talking about, Chris?
Oh, you're talking about oh god,
Guy
MMA
who was
guy.
with
Oh,
Rey Mysterio.
Cain Velasquez.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I understand that WWE brought Cain Velasquez in just for that big show, but don't get me wrong.
1000%.
But my point is that, like, you don't see heavy hitters facing against nobodies to start, and I hope that is the route that they go. I'm not saying that it isn't. Christian's is a very smart man, but I hope that the route that they go isn't, well, we have Kevin Smith, so let's have him face against Roca and Murrell.
He's been on record of saying, Christian's basically been on record. He's like, if Kevin, he's gonna compete like anybody else. He's gonna make his way up.
And I hope that's the case. I just hope that that's the case. Go on, sorry.
And Jericho Smith, why it was such a headlining match? Well, yeah, it was their name power, but I like that they're being treated like everybody else.
Right.
Like, and to be honest, their performances, they were pretty freaking good. They both went to sudden death and had like late teens in points. So like, or was it early 20s? Either way, they did really good.
They had low 20s, yeah.
So I want to see. I would love to see Kevin Smith versus who's a 1-0 person. Honestly, I'd like to see like maybe Smith v. Makuga. Shout out to the future Daddy Makuga. But right. I think that like something like that would be fun to see.
Oh yeah, that would be a beautiful match.
So, or even Jericho Makuga, I die to see that.
I think Jericho Makuga would be better.
I think I'd cry. I'd be crying in the club. But I think something like that would be more feasible. It'd be awesome. Exhibition matches, if it's Murrell and Jericho and whoever the hell else, that'd be a lot of fun. For the patrons, if they can get Jericho or Smith to do something for patrons, that'd be awesome. Like them starting off.
That would be a way to drive those Patreons subscriptions up. Yeah, even if it's just for a month.
Give me Jericho and who's another wrestling fan in the Schmodown? Freaking haven't faced Christian. Like, what the hell?
Christian's been out of the league for 2 years. So yeah,
Mark then, because he did not say Mark's name once in that whole match.
Well, no. What I'm talking about is you have a valid point as to that be a fair match. Him versus Christian would be a fair. Because originally it was about to be like, you don't want to put him against a former champion. I'm like, wait, Christian hasn't played in 2 years. Yeah, never mind. Go ahead.
So I was going to make a point, but I forgot what it was halfway through. So I'll interrupt you in a second. Go on.
Or someone like Mark Ellis. I mean, and I brought up my Mark Ellis point on here. I think it's a matter of time before Mark steps back into the Schmodown as a manager-esque type of personality. If anyone's going to do it out of the two of them, it's going to be Mark. And especially after his performance with the Jericho Smith match, Chris Jericho does not know my man's name. He did not say it. I guarantee he didn't know his name's Mark. And then during the Guy Bateman match, granted, according to Guy and Bateman on Action Industries, Mark had no idea what the hell was going on with Andrew Guy. They were both clueless. Mark and Christian. They're like, how do we handle this character? We don't know what's he doing.
And Christian's even got on record saying,
you're really chopping out, my man. No, I just can't hear you. Okay, go ahead. Okay, now it's really starting to go to hell. But I really can't. Both you and Nick are frozen. For those in the chat, let me know if I'm the only one that's staying like freaking visible. But the Mark stuff has been different to me. So I want to see where that goes in the future. And if out of the two of them, the guys that primarily at the table, I want to see more of Mark, especially as a personality going into it, because I don't think Christian will even think about doing it. So, Nick, you're frozen too, my man, if you can hear me. So the future of Smith and Jericho that's the big question mark, at least going into next season, because that's a valuable spot for Roxy. That's a valuable spot for Coy. And Coy, he's had a kick-ass second half of the season, in my opinion. The second Shazam started playing again, holy hell. We're seeing how great they are, and potentially they could be tag champs going into Spectacular. they have a great chance of beating Shazam at the pay-per-view October 16th. So if I'm Coy, I would like to know. Thanks, homie. I appreciate it. I'm the only one physical. Thank you. Because I had no idea. But I think that Jericho, Smith, those are two question marks in regards to free agency and if they're going to play again. And what Matt said, they might easily play again by the end of the season, but I'm questioning whether they're going to be a part of the Schmoedown going forward. Because that third spot, those 3 spots are valuable. Those are your top 3 players going into your faction, going into the draft. And if you have a wealth of knowledge of wealth of players to pick from, I'm just curious into how it's going to affect the draft, how it's going to affect these managers picking these players. As I bring back Nick Molbach, hopefully you're not. Nope, Nick Molbach not visible. At least you're frozen on my screen, homie.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you vaguely. Are you there?
I suddenly leave. There's something up with Matt's Wi-Fi.
Okay. Well, on that note, we should probably end the show then. Well, thank you, Nick, for being on the show. I really appreciate it, homie. Thank you, if you can hear me. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for us here at Spit from the Real on Who Are They Real Entertainment. I'm going to go ahead and just plug all the fun stuff. Go to watch Real Talk on Sundays. We have the Dog Check. That's Matt's Browns post-game show on Sundays or Thursdays whenever the Browns play. Go ahead and check that out on our streaming services, on our platforms. Go ahead and check that out. We have Really Scared tomorrow. Really Scared. Taylor Cleek, you saw him posting in the chat on the Twitch all the time. Really Scared tomorrow. They're talking about the Babysitter sequel, Babysitter Killer Queen, doing all that fun stuff. And it's going to be a riot because Really Scared's a riot. I might even pop on for that just for a little bit because I haven't been on Really Scared, at least not yet. So check that out. You can check out the Really Trivia Showdown. Matt and I have our match for his title this Friday. And if we're being honest, I'm coming in hot. I try to prove myself in the number 1 contenders match against Nick and Toby. I did all right, but I know I could do better. And Matt, I know you're probably going to watch this in the playback or you're going to watch this right now on your Facebook page where you can find us constantly on Facebook. Go ahead. Who Are They Real Entertainment? But Matt, you may be the champ now, but come Friday, it's be a whole different game. Look, man, I like you. You're a cool guy. You're a friend of mine, dear friend of mine. But what I've seen you do in the Really Trivia Showdown, I've seen enough. Your title reign is just hurting the league, man. And if there's anything I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to make the league better. So not only am I playing for the princess, Mr. Happy Sunday, the underdog, I'm playing for me and the whole Really Trivia Showdown as a unit. So whoever's on the table for our match, I think it's Taylor and Nick, they're going to have to corral this monster that's coming in to this match for the title. Because I would love getting a UPS or a FedEx package, and that belt is going to be in that box as my man comes back right in the nick of time.
Yeah, internet actually went out and Nick's at my house, so that's what made it worse.
Word. You're still in and out. I had you for a second.
All right, how about
you sound like Electra, I'll tell you that.
how about
You're the shocker.
yeah, you can try one. That's all I got.
You sound like Static Shock, and I mean that's definitely something. But look, Matt, all I'm gonna say, while I got you here, blurry as hell on this side of the screen, no one can hear you, and honestly, no one needs to hear you. Personality's gonna come in on Friday, do his job. Yes, the Shockmaster. Matt is the Shockmaster. He has a Jake Grand debut, and you're gonna fumble the bag the second you get the chance. And here I am. Keep trying to talk. Your internet's going to cut you out anyway. Just like how I'm going to cut you out on Friday. So, I think that's time for us to end the show. So, for Nick Molbach, the underdog.
Hold on. No. You don't get the last word. You don't get to say, "Hey, I'm gonna change." Nah, 5-0. That's what's coming for you. I'm gonna be 5-0 by the end of the night. 5-0. 5-0. Right, should I do it this way for those people who yeah, 5-0. 5-0. There you go for the people watching. 5-0. You're not gonna be on top. And yeah,
I should have.
Well, yeah, you mentioned really. I'm gonna plug some stuff. You mentioned really scared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the graphic to pop up.
Yep.
But you got that. Did you mention the trial?
No one can hear you, Matt, and that's okay. Really Scared's on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and check out. That's Taylor on the left, Connor on the right. Two nasty boys, if I say so myself.
Yeah. This Sunday, Mandalorian Season 2 trailer, Jonathan Major joins the MCU, Super Mario Brothers, and more.
Big show. You still with me, Matt?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Okay, because you're barely with us.
Yeah.
But November 21st, if you want to go ahead and drop that graphic for me if you're still there with me, we're doing a Twilight watch-along hosted by the guys that are really scared, Connor and Taylor. They're letting me accompany them through the ride that is Twilight, and that'll be a 12-plus hour stream depending on how many breaks we take in between movies. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be a good time. We're raising money. We don't know what we're raising money for yet because we want to wait and see if we can get as topical as we can going up to November 21st. So please, November 21st, exclusively on our Twitch. So go follow our Twitch if you can pull that up for me, Matt. I want to say it's WAT_real podcast. So go ahead and follow us on Twitch. Subscribe to us on Twitch if you really want to support us. It'd mean the world to me. So we're just going to end the show. For the underdog Nick Molbach, that's WrestleReel. Freaking Twilight Saga. There's so much going on this freaking show. There is a ton. There is a ton. But if Matt is doing the whole thing, WrestleReel. This is chaos. This is how I'm gonna do Matt on Friday. Chaos. WrestleReel coming soon. Me and the boy Nick Molbach, you just saw him. We're gonna talk wrestling in every facet of it. We may review the weekly shows. Who cares? It's the weekly shows. They review themselves. There's a bunch of people trying to review them every week. We're not gonna do that, at least not too much. But WrestleReel, it's the most unconventional wrestling show you'll ever watch. That's coming real soon. We'll give you more information on that when we can. Matt, you ready to end the show?
Yeah, and be sure.
You sound like you're going through a wind tunnel. So for the master, Matt Thomas, right there, and for Nick Molbach, who left the stream, I am the personality and your future Really Trivia Showdown champ, Chris Anthony Lopez, and we'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to spin from the reel, not from the pegs. Good night, y'all. Peace.